and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. So, one particular video that has been quite popular on my channel is the character of a womanizer. He doesn't love, he lies. And I'm talking about abusive men in that particular audio. And I'll tell you that over the years, just the sheer number of people who have came through and talked about their experiences being with a womanizer, as well as womanizers coming on and wanting to change. And then, of course, womanizers who came along and were defending themselves. It was really eye-opening. I had no idea that that was a topic that really struck a chord with so many different individuals. And so I want to just simply take the time out to talk about my book as well as the womanizers that I mentioned in my book, Socially Sweet, Privately Cruel, Abusive Men. Some of these individuals were individuals that I grew up around. These were individuals who I listened to their conversation. I saw the women who showed up who had the raccoon eyes because the men had repeatedly beat them for being disrespectful. They said insulting, whatever. But the point was that there was no rhyme or reason for them to be harming those women like they did. The womanizer uses women. He doesn't look at women as something that's so sweet and caring and adorable and loving and all of that like a righteous man would. Okay. Now, he may have his cozy feelings about a woman, right? But he is thinking in terms of what he can get from her. It's always about what he can get. And these socially sweet, mind you, out in public, very sweet, but behind closed doors could be very abusive. These men wanted these women to give them whatever they wanted. And if they decided that today was a day that I'm going to say no, was the day that they were going to reap the consequences. Some didn't jump on the women, even though there were those who did. Instead, they use psychological tactics. Well, you didn't give me what I want, so when you need me for something, I'm not going to give you what you want. Oh, okay, so you're not going to give me what I want? Then I'm going to just shut you down. I'm just going to act like you don't even exist. You can't give me what I want. You don't get to use my credit. We're not going on that trip. You're not going to stay here much longer. I'm going to turn these kids against you. I'm going to tell the whole community that you're the town slut. You see, all sorts of shady behaviors, ultimately to control the woman, because who wants to be viewed as the town slut? You see. And so the shady tactics that some of these men came up with was what made me go, I don't want to be used. I don't want to be abused. Only to later on fall right into the trapping. And how did I? Because of charm. These are some of the nicest men. These aren't evil men. These aren't ugly men. Many of them are dead now. They shortened their lifespan with all their partying and acting up and getting themselves in all sorts of trouble with the law. But these were the kind of men that you could sit down and you could relate to. They were relatable. They were kind. They were considerate. They would every now and again, with people out in the public, oftentimes, they wouldn't mind helping you out with something, right? Because it's about the show. But then the mask falls off at some point. And it's no longer about the show. It's about, I've already put this show out here for everybody, but now I expect you to dance for me. I expect for you to put on a show for me. I expect you to reach down and do this and do that for me. Okay? And these women went through hell being in relationships with these men. And not only that, some of them ended up having children. And the sad part about it is that the children who have been exposed to some of this, they have to fight to not be that way. And some of them, by default, they're just that way. And they don't want to admit to it. You're just like your daddy, a womanizer. You're just like your grandfather, a womanizer. You're just like your great-grand. This is a generational thing for some of these men. You see. And until people stop blowing up, as I said a long time ago, the pimp type of archetype, the player, the hustler, the gambler, if they stop doing that and they start demonizing it like, and I'm talking about families, demonizing it like they demonize the town whore, the town slut, whatever, then these guys will be forced to want to change. Because who wants to be something that society frowns upon, you see? And they need to stop giving, they being those in control of media, need to stop giving so much attention to these same old stereotypical archetypes, blowing them up, making them look good in these movies and all of this other stuff. I'm telling you, if that change happened in a great and mighty way, that there's no longer the attention put upon these men like this, you know, they'll stop. They'll stop saying, "Oh well, you know, I straight pimp. I'm the best at what I do. You know, I use a woman. I use a car. I use her. I put her out there on the street. I'm up in her house. Okay. I use the kids. I use her ATM card. I mean, no, they should not be getting millions and millions of views. Just like they figured out how to change the algorithm so that faith-based channels are not supported as much as certain faith-based channels are not supported as much as some of the other ones with the messages that tickle people's ears and so on and so forth, you see. So, or the popular people, or the people who are offline, who are very popular, and then they get online and oh well, you see. But there is a lot of power in not giving these type of people the time of day. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the gamblers, and some of you all know the rest. So if you haven't checked out that old audio, by all means, do check it out. It's called The Character of a Womanizer. He Doesn't Love, He Lies. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to check out other audio messages on this channel. And if you feel so moved to give, you are welcome to do so. The links are in the description box. Blessings to you.